Okay, so now I really want to talk about, black men in this modern world, in this dating era, you know, what from all the way from the simps to the so-called, Tyrones, Pookie and Ray Rays, and also all the way to the passport bros as well. And which leads to the options of interracial dating. So, how am I going to break this down? Let's just start with the simp culture. Um, I think black men really need to stop simping. We are outnumbered by a woman 4-1, so it does lead us into this matriarchal societal complex, at least from our perspective as black men in this society, and I'm sure the women as well. But really, we still are kings, and that is always going to be our role, whether outnumbered or not. And us being outnumbered by a woman and everybody else, that really adds, on to the importance of our role even that much more as men. So society really tries to diminish our role, but at the same time, our role is that much more magnified. Okay. So really these simps, I just don't see it simping necessarily getting us anywhere at all. It's like you try to say anything necessarily about these black women, and of course, the woman's gonna kumbaya on some feminist stuff. But at the same time, there's a lot of these brothers that rally behind them, or maybe because they're beautiful. He thinks this is cute, pandering to women, black women. But really, from my perspective at least, simps get us nowhere. So these Pookie and Ray Rays, these thugs that many of these modern women like, um, it is what it is, okay? Because some people's gonna be raised in the hood, some people's gonna be raised middle class. So, especially as a black person, you pretty much in between both worlds of that regardless. So I can't really point the finger and be like, okay, we not banging, we not thugging out here. Because some people's just born into that. Okay. But at the same time, for these fellas that, pull up their pants up, you know, not necessarily fully tatted up on their faces, know how to say a complete sentence, and also uphold their woman to certain standards, we have to, condone that and celebrate that actually, because actually a lot of these women, if you're not a thug or one of these simps, then these women are going to be intimidated by your masculinity or offended by your masculinity. Because we're in that era now where many black women feel like they need to compete against you, whether it's working, dating. They just want to always compete against you rather than work with you. Okay. So really that gives these thugs and these simps a boost in this dating market, because these feminist black women really feel more relaxed around these simp and thug archetypes, simply for the fact that these black women can't control them. They can have babies with them and leave them, become baby mamas without responsibility. Okay. So these black women, they say like they don't like being sister wives, but they're making y'all brother husbands. If they got, if if this black woman has 3 baby daddies, then what's the difference between that and a black man having 3 wives? Okay. So really these women just want somebody they could control and basically sit on with their knee in your neck. So really, I wouldn't necessarily recommend somebody make themselves a thug for the sake of, pleasing a black woman. Just to get in the pants, don't become a thug. I don't recommend that. Just be yourself. Okay. Don't simp either. Okay. And also, this leads us to the passport bros. So these passport bros, we've seen movements like MGTOW, men going their own way, and red pills. So the manosphere has been growing over the years, and really this is a result of trying to counter this feminist culture. And they say toxic masculinity a lot, but really there's a lot of toxic femininity going on, especially these past 4 or 5 years. Okay, so really these passport bros is really in response to that, because it seems like no matter what us fellas say, we just talking to a brick wall. Like nothing gets through to these feminists. It's like we say, hey, we want respect, we want attention, we want love. It's like you tell a black woman you want a hug, she throws her back to you. You tell her you want respect, she disrespects you. So really, this passport bro movement is just in response to fellas not being appreciated. And really, it's not our fault, because no matter what we say, no matter what we do, we're just not, our energy isn't being reciprocated. Okay. Even to this day, I still see all these feminist posts, it's pick me rhetoric, stuff like that. So it's actually kind of crazy. But so what could a man do when he's not being respected, especially by his own woman? So really, me personally, I don't really believe in passport bros, because I do believe as men, we have a responsibility to our woman just as much as our woman has a responsibility to us. But, if our woman isn't necessarily upholding her responsibility to us, then, how am I going to tell a younger version of me, or these younger men, to really stay down with the black woman if it's not going to be reciprocated? We could keep our fingers crossed, but at a certain point, we need reciprocation. But ultimately, I don't believe in passport bros, just because, come on, what, we're gonna go to Brazil, Dominican Republic, Africa to find us a mate. Like, of course, if that happens, okay, that is beautiful, especially if it results in marriage. So I'm not saying I'm against it, the actual practice, but I'm just against that being the number one option, the number one movement, especially. That our number one focus should be always, as black men, be our black woman. Okay, no matter what, regardless. So I'm not necessarily a big fan of interracial dating, not for black women or black men, and not for black women especially. But speaking on myself, shoot, I never really had a black girlfriend. Like, I've had sexual relations with black women, but I've had more girlfriends from outside my race, just naturally. And honestly, I've had more sex with non-black women than black women. And it's not that I've gone on my way to do that, but sure, I'm not necessarily a thug, but I feel like I'm well spoken, I'm smart, I'm pro-black, but my energy isn't necessarily reciprocated by black women. I'm not super balling, I'm not super tatted up. I'm not gonna change my way to be a thug or whatever, or a simp to appease black women. So whatever it is, I just haven't attracted black women like I've wanted to. But it seems like, whether, just being out with friends or at a party or just by myself, that it's just easier to talk to maybe a white woman or a Mexican woman. And this is just talking, hey, hi, how you doing? Just even talking, not even dating, but you have to talk to lead up to the dating. So just even talking, like even at being at a 7-Eleven, it's like, hey, how you doing? Can I get your Instagram? Or like, there's certain, like at one time, this girl's like, oh, you need to change your approach, this black woman. Like I need to change my approach. I'm just asking, I'm coming as how I am. Okay. So, or, even like just being at line or just saying hi to a black woman out at the mall, sometimes their natural reaction to you is attitude and aggression just because of what they're going on in their life, and you don't necessarily get that all the time with these white women, these Mexican women. They'll at least hear you out or treat you as a man. And honestly, after dealing with all this stuff from black women and their attitudes or just the neglect or just not being able to talk to them, it's really a breath of fresh air when you're able, this Mexican woman or this white woman treats you with respect. Like, oh my gosh, like, oh wow, you treated me with respect. Like I'm not even used to that. I'm not used to that at all. I'm not used to, a woman just hearing me out or listening to me or catering to me or even just trying to make me feel good. So, that's really where these other women, that's really the weakness of the black man is because these other women is going to be basically filling the void that these black men need. Okay. So it's like I really want to preach pro blackness and solidarity within the race. But at the same time, to my younger self, I'm going to, how could I tell my younger self to just be all pro black when it's not being reciprocated from the black woman? Okay. So I would tell my younger self or the younger generations, I would say, just put yourself first as a black man. Okay. So basically, don't stoop too low for black women if they're not reciprocating your energy. So if, because you may look over a Mexican woman that's going to be your wife, or a white woman that's going to be your wife, but you over here very pro black. And sometimes, and of course, on paper, that's a good thing. But, you know, you end up being 30 and lonely and you're like, dang, like, now what's going on? Do these black women want to be out in the streets till they're 40, 50? Okay. So these are just different thoughts. Okay. But, I have friends that have black women, black wives, or black baby mamas. So I do see the beauty in that. Okay. And of course, brothers, uncles. Okay. So there is a lot of black love out here and a lot of examples. But at the same time, I do have a lot of friends with, Mexican, especially girlfriends and wives, and, couple with white girlfriends. So, it seems like, when I talk to them, it seems like they just went with who was reciprocating their energy. And it kind of sucks. Like when I talk to younger black men and they're like, oh, I don't like black girls. It seems like, dang, you getting taught that at, 16, 17, 18, so it's like, dang, like, but it's like, how could I tell them to change that mentality when that's being instilled in them? And then, a lot of these black women kind of put themselves out there to get that energy. Okay, so as a black man, I'm just gonna say be yourself. So if you're not a thug, if you thug it out. We thugging. If you a simp, hey, simp it out. Cause at the same time, sometimes I'm like, dang, I gotta just choose up, or maybe I do have to simp a little bit. It's a yin and yang. Okay, it's a yin and yang out here. Okay, because so even if you're a passport bro, because honestly, some of these, whether you're black, white, Mexican, feminist goes all around the spectrum. So sometimes this American woman, period, are just terrible and chaotic. They don't want to cook. They don't want to be feminine. They want to compete against you. Okay. So, if that's what you need to do, go ahead and get your passport. Sure, I might get me a passport. I might make me a passport. Okay. Sure. Go to Jamaica or something at this point, you know? So really, I'm just gonna say be yourself, black man, and whoever reciprocates your energy, go with that and take it from there. Hopefully, it's gonna be a black woman. I do promote pro blackness and black love, and I'm still looking for that as well myself. So, okay. So hang in there, brothers, because you don't always find love when you want it. Okay, you're not always gonna find love when you want it. So just because your fantasies and sexual desires ain't being met, that doesn't mean that the woman ain't out there for you. Just be patient and do your work. Maybe I got some work to do. Maybe you got some work to do to build yourself up as a man. Okay, maybe your love partner has work to do. Okay, your soulmate. Okay, so when the time is right, you guys will find each other. Many times, on both sides of the spectrum, from the passport bros to these feminists, we just because our desires aren't being met, we kind of give up and slander the opposite sex. But in reality, sometimes we just got to be patient. Okay, love just ain't gonna be popping up in our face all the time. Okay, so really, just if you're a thug, be a thug. If you're a nerd, be a nerd. If you like anime, you like anime. So okay, but another thing, because we do have to understand our black woman every day is getting slandered on social media and sometimes the media as well. So, we don't want to become agents involved in that. We could do our part in, trying to help out the community and correct our women, but just don't fall into that cycle, because then you become an agent against your own queen. Okay. And that goes back into the simping is, okay, even in my life, I'm like, okay, I do have to simp. I don't have to become a simp, but I do have to simp for who I want. I can't just be so hard-hearted, okay? And that goes back to, okay, like these passport bros and red pillars, we do go hard on these females, okay? We got to chill sometimes. Sometimes we have to accept. Love is accepting a woman as they are, not really as we want them to be. Sometimes as men and women, we're looking for this perfect, ideal person. But really, we have to come to love these women as they are. And hopefully in return, they love us as we are, instead of just looking for these Supermans and whoever they, 6 foot, 6 figures. If that's what they want, that's what they get, that's what they, I'm not saying, don't get what you deserve. But I'm just saying, if you're going to love somebody, love them as they are. That's what love is. So it's easy to just pick at each other's flaws, nitpick, oh, she ain't this, she ain't that. But at a certain point, we have to learn to be satisfied, especially in this society where, I could just pick up this phone right now. I could see big booty, big titties, black, white, brown, whatever, okay? So at a certain point, I have to really find satisfaction, black man, in contentment with the woman that is around me in the community, just the woman that's around me. Maybe you overlooking your queen right now, okay? So be yourself, and I'm pro-black. My number one option, I'm going to tell y'all, be pro-black, go for your black queen, black man. But, if the energy just truly isn't being reciprocated, or, if maybe this Mexican woman comes up, or maybe this white woman comes up, Asian woman, Indian woman, if that happens, if the energy is truly real and the love is real, then okay. I'm not going to say break your neck for any other race. I'm not going to say do that, because then you kind of come off as one of those corny, those corny coon kind of fellas, Nobody necessarily likes, the super coon type at all, So just be yourself, and if you find a woman that really respects you as a man and is really willing to support you, then go for her, bro, So that's my message to black men, and just stay strong out here, my brothers.